Morning, everybody. Call the June 1st Wright County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, but before we do, I want to thank all those, yesterday being Memorial Day, all those that have served our country and given their lives for our freedoms.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty, County Board minutes from May 25th. Does anybody have any changes, additions, corrections?
Mr. Chair, couple additions in a couple areas.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, under the resolution for the DNR Federal Boat Patrol Grant, I'd like to include the summary of the grant totals that we obtained from the Chief Deputy for the past 3 years. That would include $25,000 in overtime paid and 51 warnings, 11 citations, and in 2020, a supervisor receiving over half of the grant money. And the last part would be under the schedule the committee of the whole to discuss county assessing and local appraisers. I had requested county staff to also look at a smaller county to have a balanced comparison, such as Meeker County, for what they're doing with the assessing on the county-based and independence. That's all I had.
All right. Anybody else have anything? Not all.
I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes with those couple additions.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Ketchmark, second by Commissioner Hewson. Any further discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Review and approval of agenda. Is there anything that needs to get added to the agenda this morning?
I have nothing.
Not, then I will accept a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve today's agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Wetter. Any further discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Consent agenda. Does anybody have anything they would like removed for further discussions?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve today's consent agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Hewson. Any further discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Timed agenda. Alicia O'Hare, Wright County Soil and Water Conservation District. You want to take ownership of the CD3 units?
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Alicia O'Hare, Wright Soil and Water. So I wanted to ask for the county to take on ownership of some waterless cleaning stations. You already own one. It's at the Schroeder Lake County Access. And there is the funding available for up to 5 units between this year and next. So 2 of the units are already have committed funding between the local AIS fund for the SWCD and the lake associations that we're partnering with. The other 3 units are coming from the Stop Starry grant that was applied for LCCMR. We're still waiting for the special session. You guys know how that goes. I just didn't want to have those lag behind too much. So 3 units would be paid for through that, assuming that it goes through. It's anticipated it will go through. It just hasn't happened yet. So just a quick reminder, these are a waterless cleaning station with tools that help reduce water in boats and tools that can scrape off plants, zebra mussels, etc. from water-related equipment. They are not decontamination, but they do help a great deal in reducing some vectors of spread. we do still have the decon unit in Annandale as well. They are free to use. All of these stations will be in-place units. That's in contrast to the one at Schroeder, which is on a trailer and is removed and stored in the wintertime. These will be in place. They'll be on a concrete pad and powered by solar power. The SWCD is committed to maintaining these units through the funding and just coordinating those things. It's another great tool. It tracks uses. For example, the Schroeder unit has had 50 sessions. So the 50 people have gone up and used one or more tools to clean their boats just this year. Last year we had more than 500 tool uses. I forget how many sessions it was, but so last year we had 500 tool uses. This year we've had at least 500 sessions. So that could be multiple tool uses at a time.
500 or 50?
This year has been 50.
You said 500, so I just wanted to
Last year was 500. I'm sorry for the confusion on that one. Just this year, in the month that they've been open, 50 sessions have been recorded. So it's very encouraging and it's great to see. So we're asking that the county own the units. This is precedent by you own the decontamination unit, which the SWCD maintains and operates. And what this means is that you will own the units. One of the units will be on county property, that's on Pleasant. The other 4 units, one will be owned or on the city of Annandale property on the southern access of Pleasant. The other 3 units will be on DNR property. So we'll enter in no-cost lease agreements between the county and those entities for that, and then they'll be listed as assets on insurance.
What other lakes are you looking at?
So the lakes are Cedar, will go on the DNR access over there. The Sugar South access, which is DNR. The 2 Pleasant accesses, north and south, county and city on the south. And then the West Sylvia access, which is DNR.
We still have one at the Schroeder Park, because, yeah, we had the one that the county.
Correct.
Yep. Using the Schroeder Park, okay, so then both the Cedar accesses are covered then.
Correct.
And these will stay as opposed to that one that
Correct.
taken off during the winter.
Will they have to be winterized?
The winterization process is pretty simple. The vacuum tank will have to be emptied right at the end of the season. A porta potty company can easily do that and one other time a session, and then they're covered they're just covered up. That's supplied as part of the purchase.
And you guys will be taking care of the winterizing of them?
Yes.
Or will that be the Parks Department?
If the Parks Department wants to do it, I have no problem with that, but otherwise we'll coordinate that.
I just want to make sure that
Yeah, well, SWCD will ensure that it happens one way or another for
Where
sure.
are we storing, Mr. Chair, where are they intending to store these units for the winter then?
They're going to stay there.
They're going to stay there?
They
They're
stay at
fixed,
the
okay, they
access,
are
yes.
fixed, okay.
That's why I was wondering about the winterizing.
Okay.
Mr. Mattice, do you have anything to add regarding if the county's going to own it, I'm assuming that it kind of falls under the parks. Since they'll be kind of,
Except
So he's
for-
volunteering to maintain them. Wow, what a nice.
so,
I would assume means, sir.
yeah,
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I believe what Alicia's referring to is that they'd go on the county's assets. So they'd be insured by MCIT in case of any vandalism issues, stuff like that. So asset forms would be filled out, sent to Tim Dahl, and they'd be just part of the county assets as being owned by the county. They'll maintain those. We will continue to maintain the Schroeder one on site. And that is a partnership with the Cedar Lake Improvement Association, so that's been a great partnership in its first year. We're seeing good use, so we hope that continues, and it's a good way to go. So we appreciate Alicia's efforts on that.
okay, thank you.
Chair,
Commissioner Houston?
Yeah, I think, all these efforts are, very positive because, as you say, it's been well used and it gives other people awareness that they need to look at their boats and they need to do the inspections and do the cleaning. And hopefully some, will drive some to the decontamination unit also.
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Ketchmark?
So the pumping of the reservoir, these tanks then, I understand from Mr. Matthijs that we got a contract with the mini BIF company already at the parks to pump those out. Would you just do an add line contract to say, no, we'd like you to pump at these 4 or 5 locations at a certain schedule or as needed, or how would we get word and enter into that agreement?
Basically, we would either coordinate with the company that we contract with for the porta potties at AIS, or we'd coordinate with whoever's doing the parks one. I would probably do at least one cleaning no matter what, and then the systems have alerts on them specifically for the tanks so that we know when they need to get cleaned out.
Okay.
They're all internet connected and fancy.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Witter?
Alicia, is there, good signage on for somebody that, just got a boat and they don't know what that box is out there? I mean, are there like instructions and signage that says this is what it is for your use?
So they do have decals that indicate that they are a cleaning station. I think the very common message is everyone likes a clean boat. For the most part, the tools are self-explanatory between a scraper and a grabber. And we do put decals on them that instruct that it's free to use, which is one of the biggest barriers, is people like, well, I didn't know if I had to put a coin in or something in order to get it to operate. So we do put those instructions. And they have done some studies and found that an untrained person is about as good as, somebody who does it all the time.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to accept the ownership of the CD3 units and to enter into a no-cost lease agreement with the DNR for the placement of these units on the so-mentioned lakes.
I second that.
Mr. Chair, if I may just offer one thing. Thank you. I just wanted to let you know, so thank you for the intent to go into the lease agreements, and I will come back to you when we're actually going to sign them. So right now, we're just offering our intent. The DNR tells me that this process could take up to 2 months because there's federal interest in some of these landings. I know, but unfortunately, I had to come to you and get this commitment in order to continue to move forward. So we're moving forward. I just wanted to let you know that we're not expecting these next week. This is timeline. When we get to the Stop Starry ones, like for example, the one on Pleasant, once we have the funding from Stop Starry, that one will be ready to go as quickly as possibly can. So,
Well, the state could take 2 months too, the way they're going.
2 months.
I hear you. So I just wanted to give a little information on the timeline there so no one's surprised. But thank
I
you
was
for.
expecting to go out there next week and check to make sure it was put in place.
And take your boat, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Your dad's.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Batch, second by Commissioner Hewsom,
That's fine.
for some time in the future that this will actually happen. Nobody really knows when and what year. Anybody else have any questions, discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you very
Alicia.
much.
Thank you.
Dr. Matthijs,
Doctor, yes.
and again, it's an honorary title.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Had a park commission meeting on May 17th and attached the minutes and things to the agenda item if there's any additional questions. One recommendation that came out, we reviewed a number of willing sellers that have contacted me over the last month. 3 of them exactly. 2 of them were vetted and not really excited about the park commission and/or I. The other one was a 10-acre parcel in French Lake Township that's adjacent to Stanley Eddy Park. Along our easement that connects to the Elma unit, Park Commission's requesting that we move forward with getting a value with that landowner and going into negotiations. Put a I put a map in, I put an aerial photo in your packet.
And this is
I
mostly
can
for
throw it on
parking.
the doohickey here if you want me to throw it on the doohickey, Mr. Lee.
Yeah, that'd be good.
What is this thing called?
Mostly for parking, Mark, correct? And the reason being is that people are parking on the road out there
There are people parking on the road on Policeman Avenue.
because there's really no place to park out there. And that park has been starting to be heavily
Light
used.
on there, Mark.
Like most of the parks in the county, right?
I don't see no light. There's a little button here. There, maybe go like that. I think I might have got it. I got a light now.
Probably warm it up.
Yeah, so it's 10 acres off of Policeman Avenue. We have an easement that connects us. Ooh, that's backwards. There we go. So we have the south unit of Stanley Eddy, right there. We have an easement that connects the Elma unit to the east off of Peyton there. If you drive the Elma unit on Peyton Avenue, it's actually not that great a road, but it goes right through Lantos Farm. And this would provide us with potential parking opportunities for being able to go each way on that easement land. So we've had talks with the owner called, and he's noticing all the cars parking along the road. And it's kind of a hill, dips down, comes back up. Not the safest situation. In our comp plan and for that, not the comp plan, but park unit master plan, we do show that if we have the ability to form a small parking lot in there, that would be pertinent. So, did run it through the decision-making process. I think it hit 9 out of our 10 decisions. So, recommend moving forward with an appraisal with the landowner, see where we get for costs, and bring that back to the board.
Mr. Chair, question?
Commissioner Ketchmark.
And just for everybody, for perspective of 10 acres, that the land that this building's on, plus all the parking across the street, I think that comes out to about 10 acres, just for perspective of what 10 acres is looking like. Did you have anything else in mind for the 10 acres besides parking?
We'd be putting in some natives, we'd be doing some restoration, some screening, stuff like that. You gotta think it's, you got a roadway coming in, you got turnarounds. This is an equine facility, so you have horse trailers and stuff like that coming in and out.
Okay, good, that's helpful, because you wonder, 10-acre parking lot is big.
Yeah,
Yeah, it wouldn't be all a 10-acre parking lot,
Okay,
landscaping.
thank you.
But it's what the owner offered.
Okay,
And some of this money will be paid for by grants.
Well, if we can get a grant in by the end of July, that means getting the appraisal in quick, we could possibly get that. Otherwise, we do have some money in our park dedication funds that could be used.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, so the townships have like amounts in there.
Yes.
So French Lake Township, could those funds be used?
Correct.
Okay.
All right. Anybody else have any questions? If not, I'll look for a motion.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair, to move forward with finding out more information from the landowner and move into negotiations. Is that essentially?
Yep, do an appraisal and move into negotiations, and then that would come back for your consideration.
Yeah, it has to have an
Yeah.
appraisal.
Great. All right. So move forward with the appraisal.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Houston, second by Commissioner Ketchmark. Any further discussions?
Mr. Chair, I guess I just want to state that, it's going to be, I'm okay with going forward for the fact that you got to grab the parking opportunities when you can, just because we have other situations in the county where land for parking is almost impossible to expand, and the demand is there. However, I do really hope you can get grant funding on this, because I really don't want to drain the park dedication piggy bank on one purchase, because it's kind of weighing the demands are high and the funds are low, so.
All right. Any other discussions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
The last one is kind of more of an informational item. It's to let you know, at Seagull Park, one of our busiest parks in our system, we have a Greenview contract out there, budgeted about $37,000 a year for that Greenview contract. They do all the routine maintenance, cleaning the restrooms twice a day, mowing, weed whipping, making sure the shelters are ready for reservations. You name it, they do it out there, except for major stuff where our crew from Buffalo comes in. We're having trouble finding a person with Greenview, so we have kind of changed the operation there. We added automated door locks. Then were put in, the striker plates and stuff were put in by Russell Security. Our county electrician did all the wiring, so that was great. That was like $1,700. Reduced the staffing hours out there, and then got a contract with a company called ProClean that's out of Elk River for $60 a day. They come in and do the bathrooms, and then wipe down the shelter tables so that they are prepared. So in the long run, this operational change will be more cost effective than what we were doing before, and we're going to see how it runs the rest of the summer. But in case you get calls or questions or see some funny claims come across that you have not seen before, I thought I'd let you know.
Commissioner Kasem?
Yeah, as you say, ProClean.
ProClean.
Thanks.
Yep. Don, I don't know.
Mr. Chair, I give hats off to Mr. Matthijs to thinking outside the box to solve a problem in light of this challenging labor market and trying to find solutions that are cost neutral. So I greatly appreciate that.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll see services decline there.
Mark, what times will the automatic lock shut for
8 a.m. and 8 p.m. They'll open at 8 a.m. and close at 8 p.m.
And those will be signed
Signed?
Signed?
Correct.
to let people know right on the bathrooms
Yep,
themselves?
we have ordered that.
And if I were to go into the bathroom at 7:59 and
Locked out.
a little bit longer,
They are panic locked, so you can get out.
just want to make
We
sure.
have talked to the local patrol, our park ranger, Josh Newbert, has sent out a notice to local patrol that when they're driving through in the evening, just to go up and make sure that somebody didn't prop a door open.
Okay.
All right.
Just wanted to FYI that, because in case you get a call or.
Maybe knock on the door to make sure nobody's in there.
So it won't be a homeless shelter.
Yeah.
No. So, thank you very much.
As long as you're up,
Oh, boy.
we got an email. I believe all of us had a chance to look at it. I don't know if it replied to you too or sent it to you too, regarding the parking issues, which we have been aware of at Otsego Park.
Well, yeah, there's a few parking issues. I did not get that email.
Okay.
Not foreign.
They were complaining about there's no striping there at all. And that it's all worn off.
Yeah.
We striped it last year, I thought. I'll check it.
And there is no additional area other than us to purchase the houses on either side of the entrance for additional parking, correct?
There's one area that sometimes we open up on the grass area for overflow parking, but that would, I don't know what it'd take to make that into parking.
And how many cars does that hold?
I'm not 100% sure.
It might be something we need to look at for the future, because we do realize that that park is very heavily used. And
Growth in the area, it's only gonna get.
yeah, and we're looking at adding something else to that park, if I remember correctly.
Potentially.
Frisbee golfing potential. But again, parking was the discussion that
That's a
we
big
had
issue.
when we were talking about that too. So we realize it's a concern, and
We can use some of them engineering ditch funds to get the engineer to come up with a preliminary design.
I don't know.
Oh, that probably won't work, would it?
I don't know if a ditch would work very well there anyway.
So it is part of a drainage system that we do the overflow on, so it's sporadic.
And I know there's a lot of areas that it's in the floodplain, so we can't do anything there.
Yeah.
So, something to think about
Yep.
if we ever have the opportunity.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you for the update.
Thank you.
I'll forward that email to you.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Items for consideration. Administration.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just had put on items to refer for the workshop next week. If there were items you wish to add, these no particular order, but thought it'd be good To give a refresh on the Health Partners Employee Clinic, we've been doing some forecasting and prep work around 2022's budget. I thought it'd be good to discuss that as well as get some input from the board regarding instructions to departments. Follow-up from last week or last month's workshop regarding the compost facility. Alan has some things with that. And then Brian Osselson would like to discuss just kind of some updates on the Charlotte Martha Subordinate Sewer District. So any items you'd wish to add? Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, maybe this is more appropriate for our next board meeting, but to decide what week in August we're going to cancel a board meeting, because all of a sudden it's coming up really fast, so.
It is, yep.
Will you quit pushing the summer? It just began.
I know, but how did it get here this fast?
Yeah. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to add to the workshop for next week?
I mean, and we could do was it November, the next one that we have 5?
Yes, I know we'd put placeholders on our agenda, reminder catalog, late June to do that, but we could certainly address it sooner.
You can do it now if you want to.
I mean, it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't hurt to get them, decided, then you can,
Yeah, especially because they're going to be making the budget schedule out, so
Correct.
having
Yeah.
the idea of,
yeah. so-
I guess I would be more inclined to do it earlier in the month.
Yeah,
Because it's
I-
saving as many.
Yeah, same here.
All right, well, we'll look at that maybe in the next board meeting then.
Yeah, either one, whatever.
Or we have some discussion next week. All right, nobody else has anything else they want to add to the agenda for the workshop next week?
That'll be busy.
Okay. Commissioner Vetch, I forgot to ask you,
That's
but
all right. I kinda- I
I'm
assumed.
assumed that you would automatically do it.
So, last week on Wednesday, the IT committee, with a whole robust membership, had a very lively discussion about a variety of different topics, and some of it kind of maybe strayed a little. But a lot of it surrounded the scheduling software at the county and the discussion of that we may need to maintain 2 different scheduling softwares because they operate vastly different than each other. So, because one size doesn't fit all, at least when it comes to scheduling. So kind of some more discussion on that, but it was a large amount of the discussion was on that item alone. Kind of had a brief discussion about the website redesign and trying to get it compliant with the different ADA rules and just to kind of improve the mobile-friendly aspects of the website and trying to get that project moving since it has kind of stalled over the last number of years just because of other project demands. We also just kind of had an update on the Office 365 and where that is at. So I guess there's, I guess HHS had brought forward the Unifo public scanner for a new project, and some discussion on that, which is still in the informational stage, but it was agreed at this point to proceed with the project. I guess with that, I'm going to make a motion to approve the minutes and the recommendations. Largely, most everything was informational only, other than the HHS project, scanner project.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Houston. Any other discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Mr. Chair, I don't know if there's anything else that you want to point out from that meeting. It was kind of a, I don't know, just a large discussion on opinions of different things. I think it kind of walked out of there. I think we had to get a better discussion as to what things need to be talked about and what things don't, because I think sometimes it kind of gets straight off into the weeds. So I think we'll have to hone that in a little bit better.
There was, a lot going on with IT.
Yeah.
The county cannot move forward without technology. We need it to move forward with more work with less people and more efficiency. And I wish the state would kind of get their act together regarding some of that sort of stuff. But if wishes could be dreams or whatever that saying is.
Horses.
But I guess the one thing I could say is, the discussions get very passionate at times, but that's a good thing because it shows that everybody really genuinely cares about their department and what we're doing. And unfortunately, there's only so many resources to accomplish that, so
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not inexpensive
No,
to
that's
do
it.
technology. And we want to do it right the first time. So that's one of the reasons why there's a lot of discussion on it. All right, any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Advisory committee, advisory board updates. Let's start with Administrator Kelly, and also maybe you can let us know how ERP things are going.
Sure, yeah, relative to ERP, do have a draft of a statement of work that came through. I have a meeting tomorrow to review that and go over that with our team. So hopefully moving by the end of the week, we'll have that together. Don't have a start date in place relative to ERP. So continuing a lot of the internal work that it's given us some time to do, and also having a discussion going forward and as far as staffing resources and planning for that going forward. So outside of ERP, I was out for a few days last week, so trying to get back up to speed on all the things going on with the county, as well as prepare for next week. We do have an EDA meeting next week coming, as well as a workshop, so lots of things kind of spinning in the fire right now. So.
Okay. Commissioner Wetter?
I have really nothing to report other than I was at St. Michael last Tuesday. All my meetings I've gone to with cities in the township, I have pushed the broadband fast test. So, and that I've gotten varying degrees of what they're seeing out there. So I hope they're better than mine. One doesn't really cut it very well. That's all.
Mr. Vetch?
Last week, we had another Central Mississippi Regional Planning Partnership meeting. Final stages. Next month, we will formally adopt our Framework 2030. We kind of went through with our really honing down our action plans and actually developing a timeline of next steps for the organization and what we're going to do and then what methodology. We're going to have a special meeting prior to adopting the 2030 framework plan, because at our next meeting we'll develop our work plan as far as from a funding perspective, and we need to have a discussion prior to that because there's a variety of different routes that we could go as an organization to facilitate these different actions that we plan to take, how we'll do it, whether it's through consultant, through staffing, through the individual counties. We have to have a discussion as a board prior to our adopting the plan at our June meeting. Also last week, I had the opportunity to sit down with Lindsay, Heather, and Bob Hevela with Wells Fargo to get a snapshot as to what are the financial expectations from investments and what the market looks like and what is a reasonable expectation that we should be able to get in the short, mid, and long terms for investments. Unfortunately, the market is pretty bleak right now. So yielding 1% with the restrictions on government is pretty as much as a person can expect at some point, at some times right now.
So 1% is what they're thinking, possibly?
It really depends on how, the hardest thing about it is if you can get, 180 basis points, which is 1.8%, but you're going to have funds tied up for 5-10 years. And a lot of us would like to assume that in 5 to 10 years we'll be yielding more than 1.8% on investments. So a lot of public entities are shortening their ladders. They're not taking out so much of the long investments right now, just hoping that those long investments will yield some better investment income. So we talked about some different strategies to optimize those funds. We're doing about as good as we can with the funds that we have right now. Bob Hevela and Heather Lindsay do understand that come the end of June, we're going to have to move some funds around because a lot of our funds are under a contract with Wells Fargo. That contract ends and will drop from a 0.4 to like a 0.17. So we're going to have to try and see what we can do to utilize those funds a little bit better. However, that's probably not going to be likely that we'll be able to yield 0.4.
Oh, wow.
Can't extend it.
We tried that. It was a no-go.
Yeah, I suppose.
With that, that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Go elsewhere. I know.
Yeah, I was with Commissioner Wright regarding the CMRP, and a lot of things happening there, looking for the future and what's going to happen. And it's not just, the majority of it is based for another river crossing, which is going to never happen in my lifetime. But unfortunately, there's got to be a lot of planning to get to that point in order to be able to work with it. I'll be meeting with Extension this afternoon. Commissioner Wetter and I both have a meeting with them. I'll be meeting early to talk the budget and at 3 o'clock so that try and control additional expenses. Other than that, Commissioner Houston.
All right. I met with the HHS Advisory Committee last week, and we had fairly lengthy talk about the Minnesota Adult Abuse Reporting System and some of the challenges that they are experiencing with that. There are a lot of, with just different elder abuse. It might be financial, it might be isolation, it might be a number of things. So hopefully keep improving that. And we got introduced to Greg Wise, who is a health promotion coordinator working actually with dental health. And this is through Blue Cross Blue Shield. They're developing a work program for school partnerships and with education and service to help families so they don't have to take kids out of school to access their health plans or health care. And also the integrated services went live, and the contact center update. They queue the calls, and they can also be done from home. And there was 17,029 calls from March 31st to May 25th, so it's very well utilized. And we also got word that 90% of 65 and over in Wright County are vaccinated. So that's just kind of a lot of discussion in just a nutshell, Mr. Chair.
All right, Mr. Ketchmark.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I had one meeting, it was a safety committee meeting last week. Went over the bylaws that we're just coming up with for the safety committee. Risk Manager Dahl shared his findings from the compost facility review. We reviewed a couple other incidents from throughout the county and reviewed the bloodborne pathogens procedure. That's all I had.
All right. Anybody else have anything else? If not, we are adjourned at 9:39 with a workshop, or excuse me, with the Committee of the Whole at 10:30.